Statistics show that as at 2013, about 3.2 million people had sickle cell disease, while an additional 43 million people had sickle cell trait. About 80% of sickle cell disease cases are believed to occur in sub-Saharan Africa. Sickle cell disease is said to occur relatively frequently in parts of Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, and people of African origin living in parts of the world. In 2013, sickle cell disease resulted in 176,000 deaths, up from 113,000 deaths in 1990. The average life expectancy of people suffering from sickle cell disease in the developed climes of the world is between 40 to 60 years. An attack can be set off by temperature changes, stress, dehydration, and high altitude. A number of health problems may develop, such as attacks of pain, sickle cell anemia crisis, bacteria infection, stroke. Long-term pain may develop as people get older as well. Katharine Abayomi, who has been living with sickle cell disease from the early part of her life, in a special interview with BOS, gives her perspectives on a wide-ranging areas of concern about the sickle cell anemia from the hindsight of someone who feels it and is sparing no effort to collaborate with other stakeholders to address the sickle cell pandemic. Katharine Abayomi explains what sickle cell anemia really is and the signs and symptoms to look out for in a carrier. Diagnoses to detect those with sickle cell disease differ from country to country. In some countries, diagnosis is by blood test, while some test all babies at birth and during pregnancy.
Sickle cell anemia is a genetic blood mutation which affects people of all races, not just Africans as is normally propagated by the medical profession. But it's true to say that in Nigeria, Nigeria has the largest, well, sub-Saharan Africa has the largest global rates of people with sickle cell disease. So sickle cell disease, going back to your question, is a genetic blood mutation. When the cells are stressed, when the red blood cells are stressed, they sickle. Now, sickle cell anemia can happen for many reasons. So, in other words, red blood cells can be stressed by many things. Mostly by the food we eat, processed food. Also by pharmaceutical medications, the cells can be stressed. Unfortunately, when the cells become stressed, they sickle. They go into a sickle shape. When they're sickle-shaped, oxygen can't flow through to vital organs, the heart, the limbs. This is where the pain occurs. And this is why people with the sickle cell mutation are 200 times more likely to suffer from a stroke or from heart disease.
Katharine Abayomi speaks on the various methods to treat sickle cell disease and the assistance that can be given to patients and their family members. The care of the people with sickle cell disease may include infection prevention with vaccination and antibiotics, high food intake, folic acid supplementation. Other measures may include blood transfusion, while a small proportion of carriers can do a transplant of bone marrow cells.
The pharmaceutical medications for sickle cell anemia, the most common ones are hydroxyurea, arginine, folic acid, pain relief, and those are the main pharmaceutical medications. So hydroxyurea and also resveratrol, they work in the same way. They boost what is known as the production of fetal hemoglobin, and fetal hemoglobin reduces the likelihood of red blood cells sickling, and also boosts healthy red blood cell production. So that's the pharmaceutical one, but there are side effects. Then we have folic acid, which boosts red blood cell production as well, that's why it's prescribed. Then we have arginine, which widens the blood vessels so that the blood can flow more easily. And also, what else do we have? Pain relief. which is administered to patients with sickle cell. All pharmaceutical medications have side effects. So I don't take any arginine injections, for example, but I do eat brown rice, I do eat oats, I do eat raw cashew nuts, raw almonds. I don't take folic acid, but I do eat spinach with vitamin B9, which is another name for folic acid. I eat mushrooms, I eat bananas, you know. I never take resveratrol injections, but I do eat red grapes. I do eat blackberries, I eat blueberries.
Is it possible to detect sickle cell anemia in the unborn baby or prevent it in its entirety? Indeed, what should parents know about sickle cell anemia? Sickle cell anemia results in an abnormality in the oxygen-carrying protein hemoglobin found in real blood cells. Problems in sickle cell disease typically begin when children are around 5 to 6 months of age.
Well, we know, obviously, it's quite common knowledge that, especially in sub-Saharan Africa and in Nigeria, that before couples decide to get married or have children, they go for tests, they go for screening tests, and that is one way to avoid this from happening. But life is life. Not everybody is going to do this. So we have to face the fact that sickle cell anemia is here. People say that this genetic blood mutation came about as nature's way of protecting us from malaria, because in Africa there are a lot of mosquitoes. I've never had malaria. So the red blood cells sickle so that the malaria parasite is uncomfortable in the body and dies. But nature didn't factor in all the processed foods that people eat today. You know, processed foods that starve the cells of oxygen. How do we oxygen? So, if you're starving your cells of oxygen, then it's a recipe for disaster.
Does sickle cell disease have any connection with malaria?
For example, the other night, I think I was explaining to you earlier before the show that I was bitten by mosquitoes in the night, and I could literally feel my red blood cells starting to sickle. What did I do? I didn't stay there. I got up, took water, made sure I was oxygenating the blood. What else did I do? I took some oil, avocado oil, very rich in vitamin E, stops the red blood cells from sickling. And what else did I do? I ate bananas with arginine. I didn't go to the hospital for arginine injection with the toxic side effects. I ate some bananas. I'm here today giving an interview with no sickle cell crisis as a result.
Katharine Abayomi, who relocated from the United Kingdom to Saudi Arabia 3 years ago, has written a book titled An Alternative Approach to Sickle Cell Anemia, available on Amazon, and she's on the verge of coming up with a second edition. She speaks about the book.
As I stated earlier, the title of the book is Eat Yourself Cool, an alternative approach to sickle cell anemia, and I'm actually the original founder of the Eat Yourself Cool concept. The idea was born in 2010, and basically it just gives people practical ways to avoid a sickle cell crisis. It gives people information of, even if they have a sickle cell crisis, of how they treat themselves at home. They don't have to go to hospital. So they treat themselves, they become well with no toxic side effects. The book is available on Amazon, Amazon.com and Amazon UK. It's the revised edition that you should buy, not the old edition, the revised edition of Eat Yourself Cool.
Katharine Abayomi shares the experience of her 3-year stay in Saudi Arabia with BOS and weighs the option of returning back home to settle in Nigeria, a country she left in her infancy.
Intending to go to Saudi Arabia, it can be very productive for you, but make sure that you're going there to give them something, a service. Going there without that's not going to be very beneficial for you. They respect education. They are a young country, they're a developing country, so at the moment they want all the intellectual intellectual heads that they can. In fact, I already think about it loosely. Obviously, before I come back, I'd have to have, the definitive means of livelihood. It's tough here. But I would consider coming back here. It's a very strong possibility, with a view to opening nutritional therapy centres.
Katharine Abayomi shares a unique commonality with her father, Yinka Abayomi, known as Black Elvis in the music circles. She also has a strong flair for singing. She obliged BOS with one of the songs in her album dedicated to the unity of Nigeria before the interview wound up.
You've got quite a difficult task ahead of you. The world seems to have become crazy on so many levels. But focus, determination and love will see you through. Positive thinking as well, very important. Ready, everyone, get ready. Steady, everyone, hold steady. Together is the only way. Together we surely rise.